let's turn to the Zhuangzi, the Master Zhuang, and the book called the Zhuangzi. Famous essays, but funny essays. Zhuangzi is the first great relativist in Chinese history. He likes jokes. He thinks Confucius is a fool, a doddering old man. Very unusually, from everything we've seen to this point, his anecdotes often use figures from the natural world, animals, as a way of talking about his philosophical ideas. And yet at the same time, he's a very, very sharp debater. And it seems that he's fully conversant with a very sophisticated vocabulary of argumentation at the time. But he doesn't wear it on his sleeve. He uses it to dispose of people who want to assert that there are eternal verities, eternal truths that we should all follow. He makes the argument that things are relative, that what you think is right is relative to what you see from where you stand. Thus, the Moists, the followers of Mozi, look at the Confucians and say, you're wrong, and the Confucians look at the Moists and say, you're wrong. Neither one of them is right. They're just relative judgments from their various perspectives. Right? The bird looks small to us, but it looks enormous to the insect it's about to eat. But he takes this further. Can anything, by definition, be called good and right? And in fact, why do we think that the mind has the special privilege of deciding what's good and right? Why shouldn't it be your belly? Why shouldn't it be your gut, your hunger, that decides what's good, what's right? Everything is relative. We have a position with Zhuangzi of don't try to take a fixed standpoint. Don't try to define things perfectly. And he goes on and says at one point, throw things open to the light. Let things come and let things go. Develop your own skills, live your own life, let things be, don't try to force them. Life is a dream of a kind, death is not to be feared, it's all part of a natural process. He says at one point, and here let me draw on this, on the last passage from the Qi Wu Lun, right? So one day, one afternoon, I was taking a nap under the trees, and I dreamt I was a butterfly and didn't know I was Zhuangzi. I didn't know I was Zhuangzhou's name. And when I awoke, I had the question, am I Zhuangzi, am I Zhuangzhou who dreamed he was a butterfly, or am I a butterfly dreaming he is Zhuangzhou? There ought to be some distinction between Zhuangzhou and the butterfly, but I'm not sure what it is. He's the first great spokesman, perhaps, for dropping out in Chinese history. Famous story in Zhuangzi of Butcher Ding. And Butcher Ding used his knife to carve up oxen. And he never sharpened his knife through his whole life. And he's asked, why, Butcher Ding, don't you sharpen your knife? And he says, well, you know, in the ox, there's always room between the muscles, and all I'm doing is moving through that space, and the whole ox falls apart. I never have to go against the current, go against the grain. I go with the flow, I go with the grain, and everything is cut up. And the king looks at him and says, so I'm learning not just about butchery from you, I'm learning about life, I'm learning the Tao. I remember telling my son, who was then very young, this story, and he looks at me and says, but he has no ambition. And that was right. He had no ambition. Butcher Ding wants to be good. He has an ambition for it. He's going to be good at with his skill. He's going to live in unity with his skill, but he's not going to be striving after wealth and power. So we have a selection from Zhuangzi for you, and we hope you'll want to take a look at that and comment on it.